All right, a big shakeup in the briefing room. Departing White House Press Secretary Jen Psaki's replacement is the woman on the left, Karine Jean-Pierre. She is, again, there with her partner, CNN political reporter Suzanne Malveaux. And it sounds as swampy as you'd think. And there's also an ethical concern here. One Washington reporter will definitely have exclusive access to the press secretary in ways that no other one in Washington will. Now, there's also some concerns about her background. Jean-Pierre was an official of the activist group MoveOn.org before working in the administration. She also has bragged before that she embodies everything that Donald Trump hates.
The man who is now sitting in the building I used to work in hates everything that I am.
Well, maybe not everything, but perhaps this part. She once endorsed a boycott of the pro-Israel AIPAC conference, but the White House and their allies, they don't want you to think about that. They'd much rather talk about the fact that she is the first black woman and the first openly LGBTQ person to hold the post.
So joining us now to discuss this is former senior advisor to President Trump and the CEO of Getter, Jason Miller, in studio with us today. Jason, great to have you with us.
Great to be with you here at headquarters.
Yes, always great to be face to face, Jason. And, you know, you think Suzanne Malveaux, you worked with her at CNN, you think she's a pretty fair person. That might not be the issue. Talk to us about Karine Jean-Pierre.
Yeah, and look, congratulations to Karine for being the first black woman to have that position, the first openly gay person. I think that's great, a big accomplishment for her. And with regard to Suzanne Malveaux, I've worked with her over 2 presidential campaigns. I've never had an issue. I've always thought she was very fair, right down the middle. So from the whole aspect of that being Karine's partner, gotta be honest with you, I think Suzanne is an absolute pro, and it's not something that I'm concerned about. Here's what I'm concerned about. Karine Jean-Pierre is completely nuts. Whereas Jen Psaki will get up there and she'll toe the line with Biden. She doesn't believe a lot of the liberal stuff. I think Jen Psaki is actually pretty level-headed. She's a very nice person, very friendly to interact with. Karine is a hardliner. She actually believes all of the MoveOn.org, the hardcore liberal stuff. When you brought up the fact of her opposing AIPAC, that was just the tip of the spear. The 54% of Americans who think the Biden administration has moved too far to the left and they should move back to the center are going to be soundly disappointed.
Wow. So, I mean, we've seen Psaki, and she does tend to be, especially with the more conservative reporters in that room, condescending, snippy. So what can we expect? Even more? You're saying it's going to be even more on display, Jason. Is it going to be offensive? Is it going to be someone who really shouldn't be doing this job then?
Well, I think it's going to be very pointed, as we've seen Jen Psaki do. And Jen Psaki is a street fighter. She's very tough. I think that even though I disagree with her completely, and she's probably gone a little too far, I think, with her tone, particularly with some of our friends over at Fox. But the difference is Karine is ideologically driven. That's the difference here. And so when we talk about who's actually running the Biden White House, it's the extreme left. Joe doesn't even know what he had for lunch or what he had for breakfast in the same day, if he's lucky. But the hardcore liberals who are running the place, pushing Biden further to the left, I think we're going to see, quite frankly, a lot more embrace of some of these anti-police positions, some of the anti-border security type positions that we've seen from this Biden White House. I think Karine is going to take it to a whole new level.
Which is wild because we see, you know, where this political shift is happening. Those are the issues that's driving it, leading Democrats to vote for Republicans. So why they would continue to push this narrative with her as a spokesperson, you got to wonder why.
Well, especially with new polling out with 61% of Americans say that Joe Biden should not run for president in 2024. In fact, President Trump is beating Biden 50-36 in the most recent Heartland-Rasmussen head-to-head matchup. So why bring on a former MoveOn.org spokesperson to literally be the mouthpiece at the podium? It tells you how completely off the deep end this administration has gone.
Well, they could have had other options. They could have, put somebody else in there. So it looks like this was definitely a strategic move for them then.
You know, one of the things that, as I was looking through some of the poll numbers from that Rasmussen poll, one of the things to keep in mind is that Biden's numbers, the bottom has really fallen out with key Democratic constituencies. Yep. When you look at his vote share with African Americans, Latino Americans, especially the minority groups, even millennials, the bottom has fallen out. Biden's not even at his floor yet. He could still go lower. I think putting Karine into that position is another effort by him to try to shore up his African American base. In my opinion, I think it's a little bit too obvious what he's trying to do.
Yeah.
And again, that's if he even realizes what's going on.
Yeah. She's going to have to be the one now to deliver the bad news that they can't actually cancel student loan debt unless they want to go off that cliff. Jason, great to see you, as always.
Thank you.
Yeah, good insight, Jason. Thanks.
All right. Well